Fact-checking, misinformation and AI sounds like a very lethal combination, right? But our expert in the AI Literacy Bridging the Gap series today is going to debunk some myths and help us in combating misinformation, talking about her innovative AI products and technologies. So today we have Dhara Mungra, who is the co-founder of Sim People. So Dhara, tell me something about Sim People and your vision and mission statement.
First of all, hi Devika and hi everyone else. I am Dhara Mungra, co-founder at Sim People. Our vision and mission at Sim People is to build tools in the space of information integrity. How we look at information integrity is basically, first is monitor how narratives are being shared, measure the influence of those narratives, and the third and the most crucial aspect for us is to also provide verified information. And I think as we talk about it, I'll give examples of the tools that we are building, specifically Arbiter, that we use to monitor and measure the influence of the narratives.
Oh, so that sounds really incredible. So my first question would be, from your perspective, what are the significant technical challenges in developing these AI tools for misinformation detection and mitigation, especially considering the harmful content that is around us in the information ecosystem today?
Well, when we look at or when we talk about misinformation tools, right, one thing that we have in mind is, or probably that's just a general perception that, oh, you're building a tool that combats misinformation, or tell me what is right, what is the wrong thing, give me the truth, give me the fact. Well, the thing about the fact is it keeps on evolving. It's the context, right? So for example, what was true, for example, say about COVID vaccine in 2020 is not true today.
Exactly.
The challenge lies there because to make sure that your systems are evolving with the changing facts, you are looking at vast amount of data. And in today's world, given the amount of the data that we are, giving or pushing to the system, it becomes really difficult. That's where the challenge lies, in my opinion, to make sure that we are on top of every fact, quote unquote. And when I say fact, I'm talking about something that is being given by, say, an expert. If it's a medical thing that we're talking about, it's something that is, say, being given by a healthcare professional. Right. So that's where the challenge lies, in my opinion. And the technical challenge also arises.
Right. So, I mean, very true to that extent. But how do you see the capabilities and limitation of these AI and large language models impacting the spread and detection of misinformation? Maybe some examples if you can give.
Yeah. So, okay, I would build on top of what I have said previously, right, about the context. Generative AI tools really good at generation, like, you want to brainstorm certain things, some of the tools are really good at that. But at the same time, they also suffer from hallucination, and that's something that we all know about. The biasness, like it looks at a lot of the data, but then it also makes up things if you do not pay enough attention.
And also we don't know about the data that it's being trained upon.
Exactly.
I think no one knows about.
And that's what I was going to get into. Essentially, these models learn from the data that you feed. It is the output of what you are giving them. And that's where things become challenging. So for example, I'll give an example, two examples actually. One is my co-founder, Swapnil Mehta. His work involves the intersection of policy, AI, misinformation. But with sufficient data that he put on his website, one of the tools identified him as a policy researcher.
Oh.
Yes. So that's what happens. Like, your models are the functions of the data that you are giving it, right? Another example is, this was one of the study or one of the report from, I think it was Graphica, that I read. And they were studying about how sources on Wikipedia links are polluted. Polluted as in, Wikipedia and a lot of the sources by nature are open source, such that anyone can go and edit them. You also provide references, but when they looked closely at the references, a lot of the links redirect to the same website. And hence, essentially, you are creating that ecosystem where your data is coming from the same sources where few people want you to look at. And that's where
add to that cognitive bias, maybe.
Exactly.
What we want to see, what we want to hear, we are getting that only, maybe.
So easy to fool the systems.
Exactly. So that can also give rise to propaganda and many other negative elements in the society.
Yep.
Of course. So given your work with diverse partners, how would you approach the challenge of building a versatile AI tool like the Arbiter one you mentioned here, that caters to clients' needs and technical expertise that you need there?
So see, when you're building any of the AI tools, right, technical, most like if you're talking about the base, more or less that remains the same at anywhere. Where what differs is the needs of the people. And that's what we have learned, which is like human-centric design. For example, we worked with a partner in Mongolia. They wanted to study how information is being shared in the Mongolian ecosystem. Now, if we go and talk to them about Truth Social, they would be like, what? They would be blank. The reason being, for them, studying platforms like Telegram or probably Facebook or YouTube makes more sense. But yeah, if you go and talk to civic society organizations or fact checkers from US, studying Truth Social becomes really important for them.
So what about the Indian landscape, the Indian masses and the Indian government and other platforms? So what challenges have you seen here?
Challenges in the Indian landscape is majorly the linguistic part and the culture. We are very diverse. Yes, we are very diverse. So because of, that's our strength. But when we talk about AI tools, there is no one fit solution for us. The models that claim to be multilingual, yeah, sure, we are getting better, but we are not there yet where we can, with the confidence say that these models will be able to speak in a friendly or a contextual or in a regional manner that any of the tools would be able to do that in a Western context.
So the AI model that you've built for Sakhi, is that only in Hindi or English, or there are other languages involved?
So that is, we have Hindi, English, Marathi. We also had a pilot of that in Bangladesh, and that it will involve Bangla.
Nice. So do you face any problems and challenges there?
I'll give you an example. So the first thing that you do when you want to use the multilingual, right? You want to integrate multiple languages. You want to integrate, like say, Hindi. And we're like, okay, the first and the best thing that you do is, and at this point of time, we have our set of questions and answers in English. Let's translate them in Hindi, just with the model. So in the context, like the Western context, like husband and partner, that translates in Hindi, they translated it to, I think, Aapka Sathi. Now, if you go and say this to a female, we are talking about husband, like aapke pati. And if we give that to a female, that female will be like, Sathi, aap bolna kya chahte ho?
There are so many dialects, there are so many varieties in India that's very difficult. So how much time do you think that the AI bots are going to take to actually counter this problem and provide something effective and productive?
Well, I would say that depends on who is building the tool and for whom. If you look at it, the tools, majority of these tools are being built in the Western world. We claim that these tools are global, but if you actually look at the people who uses these tools, people are not global. Users are not global. So and that's where the time comes into picture. We need to build tools with the people in mind. We need to empower people, provide them with the resources, or involve them in the process of building these tools or just building the technology.
While you were building this tool, what was your process? Did you involve the local masses, the local communities into it?
Yes. So I'll give example of both Arbiter and Sakhi. I'll start with the Arbiter. There was this one of the reports that we did with the partners in Bangladesh, and that was about how Facebook is, and at that point of time, Facebook used to have open, ecosystem such that CrowdTangle existed. And with the research API accesses, you used to get access to CrowdTangle or the Facebook or Meta platforms data. We got data, Facebook interactions data about both the political parties, Awami League and BNP. Thousands of those accounts, looked at those accounts, fetched the data. Out of those thousands of those accounts, we identified there are actually very marginal, or the fraction of those accounts which are influential, as in the accounts where people actually go and take information from. When we looked at the content of these accounts, we involved partners from the region. So for example, I'll try to be as this is exactly one of the examples from the post, which is, it was regarding how, and the study was how females are being unproportionately targeted at the time of the elections as compared to males, understanding the gendered based misinformation, quote unquote. And it was about one of the influential political leader, it was a male, and they were talking, there were couple of posts about his daughters, about for example, how they are coming out of hotels late at night. Now, in the Western context, it's absolutely all right. No one would bet an eyelid, just like the model. It did not bet an eyelid. But when you involve, how they have written it, what they have written, so they were able to identify that this is exactly. So they were able to understand, people from the region were able to classify that as all right. This is something which is being flagged. And the thing is, daughters were not even part of the politics.
Totally. And what do you think about these community notes picture that is coming into practice now in misinformation and fact-checking landscape? So you think community notes would be successful? Already it's there on X.
It's already there on X. I community notes, I have my own thoughts about it. Just like I gave an example of the report, the Russian one, how easy it is to pollute them. I think the same thing is very easy to do with the community. Yeah, I mean, community notes, if in the most simplest manner, if I understand it, or how I understanding it, and my understanding is, it's what the majority of the community members whom they have platform has identified as an expert. You have to establish yourself as an expert. That's number one. Whom platform has given the role of you being a community moderator, or you being part of that community who can do the notes. Exactly. If you have say you have 100 people, out of those 60 agrees that this is what is right.
That's
that actually
decision is made.
Yeah, very easy to.
So
yeah,
the people who actually lead the algorithmic tools can be the one who can actually influence it as well. That sounds dangerous, that sounds harmful, that sounds violating, to be honest.
And also another thing is when we talk about fact checkers, when they fact check something, it's the reputation online,
the
credibility of the institution, credibility of the person. So when you have your skin in the game, that's how the people put it in the business world or in the corporates where these decisions are being made. That's where if your skin is in the game, you go sort of additional, how you go extra mile to make sure that everything is all right. So we have those, that's where the credibility comes from, because
there's a vision, there's a purpose, there is a aim behind it.
Exactly. And we know them.
Yes, we know them. That is also the human aspect. So if I just relate this whole discussion that we had right now with the responsible AI part, everyone is talking about explainable AI, responsible AI. So what are your thoughts on that? How can we make responsible AI tools that can really help out the masses and maybe end some sort of propaganda or stuff?
Two ways I see that. Number one is when we're talking about the transparency in terms of, say, the people using the tools or the organizations using the tools. I really approach some of the tools are, for example, some of the generative AI tools are taking the approach that they're taking, which is deep search. That tell you what they're doing. And that's okay for the cognitive purpose, for you to understand what they're doing, but also giving the sources, as in where they're getting the information from. That helps you a lot, because then you know that where, for example, if I want to talk about the rise of influencers in India since 2020 till 2020, mid 2025, or I'll just end of 2024 for the sake of that. 5 years, the rise of influencers in India. If you randomly give me numbers, I have no idea, where to go and verify that. What I want to do is, there are hundreds of sources out of, talking about influencers. Out of those, I want 4 or 5 which talks about the Indian influencers, and give me a link to that exact study where you are getting your information from, right? That's where you have the transparency, as in how this is how my thought process works, behind the machine, and also you build trust in a way that you see your sources. And the second I see is the model that we are trying to, or what we have in Sakhi. where when we say verified information, Saki is AI powered tool, it's not AI tool. The reason being, yes, we use the elements of generative AI to do, the question came in from a user, mapping the question to the answer, getting the relevant text. But at the same time, the information that we have, or what we call as the knowledge base, is something that has been curated with the experts, as in, say for example, if it's the maternal health, we talked with a gynecologist. We had
have those citations.
We had them go through the questions and answers. For example, when we started with that, say we have a list of 100 questions and answers. We're like, okay, these are the questions, this is the answers that we have. You go and check how much of this makes sense, what needs to be changed, and give us, help us do this. Second is, then we also ask them what are the literature that we can use to better inform our systems, and that is the definition of the verified information.
What is the requirement? How can you do that? Other than your degrees and the stuff that you're doing, how should one come forward and start building AI tools? What are the requirements there?
See, with the rise of the AI tools, you can build stuff. Number one thing is first understand what AI is. It's not magic, it's mathematics. And also, I'm not talking about understand all of the mathematics that goes into it, just the definition, like what LLMs are, what they can do, what they cannot do, what are the building blocks that helps you understand how this works. And number two, just be aware. The student part, the skills that we encourage them to have is, number one, build tools that is inspired by the needs of the community. First, go, if you have an idea, great, perfect. How do you know the feasibility of the idea? Who is your end user? Who is your end audience? Go and talk to them. Understand what their needs are. A lot of the times you understand there is no need for it. People don't, yeah, it was cool for you, but not for them. So understand their needs. Once you have done that, number two is also, though AI tools can build things for you, having core skills like, building systems, understanding and designing systems, what components you'll use at what point, designing low resources tools, because it's not like when you are starting out, if this like couple of teams of the students that we have worked with, they are starting out and they have their MOUs signed with a couple of organizations. So it's not like you will have all the resources in the world. Specifically the country that we belong to, we are experts sort of, where we make things work within the budget that we have. We are working in silos, as in I don't need to go to college, I don't need college degree, I will do couple of hacker rank or this, like whatever the coding platforms are.
Nowadays there are so many hackathons and startup
culture. Yeah, I'll just do the hackathons and I'll just solve all of the programming questions I have. Or those exist in the world, and I'll just be the techie guy. Then you're just surrounded by yourself and all of your thoughts. Go out, interact with one more person. Possibly someone who have views which are opposite to what are your views. The reason being, if it starts like from the fundamental things like our devices. Everything today is designed to be personalized. Let's not make everything our thought process personalized, because then we will not be tolerant towards other people's view. And hence it's important that you go out in college, if not to study your algorithms and all of those things, go talk to your fellow peers. Ideas will be born. Oh, this is cool, ye karte na, ye product banate na. This is how I feel a lot of the cool products are born.
Exactly, and that's where your point comes, and that once you connect with the people around you, then you will realize the potential inside you and probably the purpose that you can take forward by building any innovative product. Thank you so much, Dhara. Your thoughts and ideas about how we can proceed further with the AI technologies were so interesting and incredible. And this was all from me, Devika, today from the AI Literacy Bridging the Gap series. Next week, we'll come up with another expert who is also working in any AI technology, maybe education or any other sector. Till then, stay tuned. Thank you.